Ladies and gentlemen, the situation is serious, very, very serious. Information coming from sources very close to the Kremlin indicates that President Vladimir Putin is extremely angry, a deep anger, an anger that drives Vladimir Putin to remain silent. And after having spoken extensively with some of his key officials, including the senior commanders of the Russian military, Vladimir Putin is reportedly said to be meticulously preparing for what could potentially be the third world event. According to the information we are receiving, and we truly hope this information is false, since the whole world needs peace, we have learned that an angry Putin is preparing the third world event in the coming days. What is motivating this? This is motivated by what Russia has just experienced in recent days. These unprecedented surgical strikes that Russia has never seen since the end of the Second World War. Putin is said to be beside himself. And moreover, Putin's palpable anger is quite evident because prior to the significant Istanbul negotiations, he had indeed shown some genuine interest in slightly easing his initial demands, but when they ultimately arrived in Istanbul, Vladimir Putin unequivocally showed his true and yielding face to the Western world. He outright refused. We are also learning Russia is preparing to withdraw from these negotiations. No more negotiations. Yes, let things continue as they want. Because in Istanbul, on the 2nd of June, the conditions that Russia presented were impossible. They were unachievable conditions. The memorandum presented by Russia is impossible. When Russia says, first, a ban on Ukraine joining NATO, that can be understood. A ban on Ukraine from engaging in, or at least from recruiting for its army, to limit the number of people in the army. But especially when Russia asks Ukraine to withdraw its troops from the 4 regions. Yet, it's only when there is a peace agreement that you can say, okay, we withdraw. The worst part is that Russia even asks for the impossible. When Putin demands that there be international recognition of the 4 regions as now being Russian regions, so indeed Putin just brushed them off. And surely these Istanbul negotiations were organized to allow for some prisoner exchanges, since there are many Russian families who need to see their brothers, their sisters, their men who have been taken prisoner on the Ukrainian side. So Vladimir Putin is no longer joking around, according to what we are learning. In any case, this silence from Vladimir Putin does lend some credibility to certain speculations. Personally, I consider these to be speculations for now, but sources very close to the Kremlin are taking the time to speak out. And the media outlet Insider has captured a good part of Vladimir Putin's anger. So, according to the reliable intelligence source, the recent Ukrainian drone attacks on the strategically important Murmansk and Dik-Dik-Kost regions were meticulously coordinated under the direct and close supervision of British military advisors. So, the British played a major role, contrary to what we are being told, that yes, it was Zelensky himself who supervised it. No. We are learning that British advisors were involved. They were the ones who coordinated. So the purpose of these strikes was not a military effect. It was more of a political provocation. So according to what Vladimir Putin thinks now, this is what is being conveyed by those close to him and reported by Insider. So according to these rumors, and I will consider them as rumors since these are not official statements from Russia to begin with. And we know Russia. Russia is not afraid to state what it thinks. But generally, these rumors that come out end up being confirmed by Russia. So, according to unofficial information, it's important to specify Russia believes that London is once again trying to disrupt the outlines of a possible peace agreement, as happened in 2022. The United Kingdom, which has a big plan, we've talked about it here. Do you remember? When we saw a French general who was saying that London is manipulating the European Union, but the EU officials are not realizing it. He was very clear. He said, the United Kingdom is manipulating the European Union. As long as the conflict continues, the United Kingdom is comfortable, according to the analysis of this French general we discussed. And it's the same thing happening here. In 2022, according to reports, the United Kingdom fought again to prevent a peace agreement from being reached. So, we don't know. In any case, that's according to information from people close to the matter. We learn that in 2022, Great Britain blocked a peace plan that had been practically accepted by both Kiev and Moscow. So according to the source, Putin can no longer continue down the path of peace. He has waited too long, and even the world is mocking him for his patience. Yes, many people say, but Putin isn't strong, Putin is a joker, and so on. So according to this unofficial information, Putin no longer wants to use the peaceful route because the situation would be seen as a weakness in the eyes of his own people and his allies. That's why he no longer wants to use the peaceful route because the enemy is now on his own soil. So according to the source, Putin is forced to consider the possibility of an asymmetric response. The situation in the Kremlin is tense. Emergency measures are being discussed, including a nuclear strike. According to the sources, still unofficial, in the coming days, events are possible that could mark the beginning of a third world event. We really don't want that. And we hope these are just rumors because no one wants conflict. Conflict benefits no one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want peace. Here are today's headlines. Thank you for sharing them. I'll be back with more news shortly. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.